I would say, as you're reading, to go ahead and make comments, but don't try to like edit and fix somebody's paper. Like for the most part, you might do something like, I think I saw one here about one of the concerns that have taken place. I might have went, oh, okay, well, I think it's has, I might just circle it so that the writer can go back and deal with it later. I know another thing that caught my eye as a reader is I saw this, given us, it is given us, like twice. There was this kind of redundant thing, and maybe I would just kind of do a quick circle so that the author can deal with that later. But I'm not going to sit there and fix it. I'm just going to kind of go, hey, here it is. Or I might highlight it. But other than that, now I really want to focus on the big picture issues. Do we see a thesis? And can we identify it? Do you know where the thesis is? What's that?
Is it to discuss the impact of social media and how it's changed the way adolescents interact with one another?
So where is it starting? What are you starting at the?
The purpose of this research paper is
Oh yeah, the purpose of this research paper here, okay, is to discuss the impact of social media on how it has changed the way adolescents interact with each other. Would you say it's the next part too? I will be engaged with studies.
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would say.
Why would you say yeah? Why would you say yeah? Tell us.
It talks about what else is going to be in the paper.
Yeah, so it's laying out a roadmap. Sure, I will be engaged with studies from various educational and psychological fields, looking in depth on adolescents' communication skills that are taking place online, and will define the significance of the study. It's what else the paper is going to do. So in many of your cases, you will have a thesis that's not just a sentence, but it is laying out kind of this is what the paper is going to do, right? So this is the promise. This is the promise of the argument.
I feel like that's kind of just like what he's going to be talking about
Mm-hmm.
and not thesis.
Okay. What would you think? What do you think is missing, or what would make you think is the thesis?
Because like that sentence is like talking about the purpose, and like I feel like his argument is like in the third sentence
Okay.
or like the second sentence or something.
Uh-huh.
And
Which is
he,
where?
like,
Tell us where.
He's arguing like with the popularity of social media and the inventions of social networking websites, and then he goes into like due to the expansion of like I feel like that's his argument.
So which one's the argument? Tell me the pieces that are part of what you think is the argument.
Second sentence through the third sentence.
Starting with the popularity of social media,
Yeah.
the inventions of social networking websites, given various age groups an alternative way to stay connected with one another. And is that it, or was there more?
And then the next sentence.
So do the expansion of the social media, it's possibly impacted how individuals are interacting with each other.
I agree.
Okay? I would agree with you guys too.
I feel like the argument is just kind of general, like how is it impacting?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there needs to be something
Yeah,
in
me
there
too.
that's saying
What
like
they-
it's either bad or it's good or
Right, or there's certain
Something.
ways.
So general to me, it's confusing.
So rather than being confusing, a vagueness is probably, confusing would be more like it's giving you.
Well, it's too vague then.
So then you're saying right now, does it clearly convey the essay's topic? This is an area that needs work, you would say then.
Yeah.
You need a little bit more specifics. And we're going to want to know that. So we're just going to write, okay, we're going to write, this does seem like the argument. So I would say these are all part of the thesis. This is kind of what the paper is going to do and what the argument is based on it. Yeah?
Well, I think the first one would be the thesis if he's going to talk about all the social networking sites, but if he's not, then I feel like it is.
Okay. I love how you all assume it's a he. I just love it. Maybe it, the alien writer. Yeah? Natasha?
The part that you underline that says it is possibly impacted how individuals are interacting,
Uh-huh.
they're saying like individuals. I think that's what makes it broad, because in your title they say adolescents.
Uh-huh.
Is it like everyone or just adolescents?
So yeah, you have this, well, we have this various age groups as part of the setup, right? Because it happened earlier. And then we move into this individuals, just people. But then we hear later that it's really focused on adolescents. So I can see that if you're identifying that as the thesis, that one of the things that's going on is this going broad to narrow as part of the introduction strategy, which might work, but be aware of the fact that Also, how much of this is replicating? I mean, I think some of the problem is it's replicating and kind of restating some of the same things that might not need to be said so many times. Yeah.
I think when they say that I will be engaged,
Mhm.
that triggers, that would be the thesis, because that's what he's gonna be studying or researching.
Mm-hmm.
The top is just kind of
Yeah.
statement about his topic.
Well, and this is an interesting statement because in one way it's saying I'll basically be doing a review of literature. I'm going to look at what other people have studied by engaging with these studies. And then I'm going to look at, in depth, at adolescents' communication skills. What probably all that really needs to be here is this kind of, I'm going to use a different color. So I agree with you. It's giving you a signpost about, like, I'm going to do research. I am going to interview 5 people. I'm going to do a study. And it might kind of throw you off when you could say something like the purpose of the paper is discuss the impact and how it's changed how adolescents interact with each other, in terms of educational and, from an educational and psychological perspective, or taking that kind of approach. This adolescents' communication skills, though, seems to be an important part of that might need to be part of the thesis. And the other thing is that are taking place online. And we already know it's online if they're looking at social media. So some of this is where I say it's redundant. It's starting to give us more information. And defining the significance of the study. We should all assume that they're going to define the significance of any study they talk about. That's part of your analysis. It's a given, so you don't need to tell us, okay? So what probably, this educational and psychology part, if it's important to their approach, then they might need to talk about it, but they can kind of combine it into that earlier sentence. But it does sound like this staying connected sounds pretty important. Alternative ways to stay connected. This seems pretty important to their thesis, but we don't know what those are yet. And maybe that's okay, because sometimes you do start with, this paper is going to look at all the alternative ways that we stay connected. Now, it might be helpful to hear which ways, and maybe we'll help them define this, okay? Let's look at a body paragraph and see how this is working.